Hi guys, welcome to the Raven Wolf channel. This is Anna. So today I'm doing the first chapter of the Mayan Factor. It was actually nice and surprisingly to me that a lot of you guys wanted me to keep reading it, so that made me excited. So I'm gonna read it, and I'm gonna read the same amount of pages that I read in the introduction. So I'm trying to keep these videos like 30 minutes long because it can take a long time. And I don't know if people will have the uh, patience, I guess, to listen through so hours and hours, but I don't know. So I'm just gonna get started. So the first chapter is called My 33 Years Search for the Maya. And if anybody knows me, you guys know that I've been seeing a lot of threes. Anyways, so yeah, that was another synchronicity, which that's cool. So, oh, where's my little? Oh, here, my little. And yeah, again, my eye is still not doing good, but it's better. It doesn't hurt or anything. It's just super dry and it's small. So yeah, I'm good. I'm not in pain or anything. Um, anyways, thought I write this book of things that may seem culturally remote or transcendently cosmic. It would be a mistake to think of the Maya as inaccessible. As I have found through my life, the Maya experience with its wealth of artistic and scientific lore is not so much alien or different as it is strangely, hauntingly familiar, like the numerous coincidences of the word Maya, and it cognates that are scattered across the civilized world. At the same time, however, the Maya experience, or the Maya factor, as I have to come to call it, is vast, unquestionable vast, and with implications extending far beyond the dominion of our imagination. Now I'm 47. No, I am 47 now, and I have taken, and if and it has taken me 33 years to fully realize that even in the vastness of the Mayan factor is friendly, approachable, communicable. In order to allow others to enter into this world, I would like to recount in a brief manner my own coming to the Maya factor. To begin at the beginning, I was conceived in Mexico and, though born in the States, spent my 5 years in Mexico. The fact that my parents' apartment was located at 100 Calle Tula, Mexico City, struck me later as a curious synchronicity, since the name of Tula is the Toltec from Tulan or Toyan, the name of the Mayan center of origin. It was in 1953, fateful year of discovery of the genetic code and the Van Allen Russian, uh, no, yeah, Russian belt, Earth's magnetic field, and the first encounter the Maya. This summer, my father had taken my twin brother and I to Mexico. It was the perfect opportunity for a 14-year-old like myself. I hadn't been to Mexico since I left at the age of 5, but Mexico City was still like my childhood reminiscence of a colonial capital, though we didn't get my father south than Cuernavaca is just beyond Mexico City. I received enough of an impression of Mexican National Museum of Anthropology to stir deep in the ancient feeling. But the museum, with its fantastic displays and artifacts, including the great calendar stone of the Aztecs, was nothing compared to the experience of the Great Pyramid City in Teotihuacan, place where the gods touched the earth. As I climbed the Pyramid of the Sun and gazed towards the mountains, clouded, cloud dapple and shadow beneath the clear blue sky of those times, a profound sentiment arose in me, a longing to know, I knew it was not just a knowledge about things for which I thirst, but a knowledge that came from within things that I so greatly and earnestly desired. As I made my way down to the steps, all stuck and filled with the wonder of harmonic monumentally of the city of Teotihuacan. I made a vow to myself, and the vow was that whether it was that I had happened here, I will come back to know it. Not just an outsider or an archaeologist, but as a true knower, a seer. I must have been that must have been the fall of 1953, while working in the public library of Rochester, Minnesota, that the next Lincoln occurred. I was filing books, a job I enjoy enormously for the opportunity it gave me to encounter new and different ideas, kind of ideas. And for all the books that tantalized me and drew my mind beyond itself, there was two in particular: P.D. Alpensky, Tertium Organum, and Sylvanus Griswold, Morsley, the Ancient Maya. Wow. The former volume, with its dizzying description of the possibilities of an infinite number of parallel worlds, was enough to send my imagination into condition of serene transcendence. Or was it a recollection? I really couldn't tell. For some reason or other, a cultural experience of exalted dimensions. Morley's book gave me the script of an early possibilities to ground cosmic experiences, which Alpensky described in Territorium Organum. In that case, that Morley's book made an indelible impression on me. The photographs of the living Maya, the curious anthropological descriptions of the Maya in a relationship to others of the Mongoloid race, the diagram of the ancient temple sites and reproductions of stone cultures of an extraordinary delicacy, harmony, and mystery, all had me completely captivated. But nothing fascinated me more than the numerical and the mathematical systems of the Maya. Quickly I learned that the system, a dot equals 1, or a unit, or of a multiple of 20, a bar 5, or a multiple of 5 times 20, and the shell I completely lost my sorry you guys, multiple of 20, and a shell glyph 0, or completion. It was so fascinating, simple, and so streamlined. Here, I'll show you guys the picture. So you see the 0, the line, and the shell. Okay. And then there were the names of different places, values, kins, the ones, vinyl, the 20s, tons, the 400s, cartoons, the 8,000s, and the baktoons, which is the 160,000s. For long hours, I marvel at the majesty with the systems presented and the mystery of what its true purpose might have been. Clearly, Morley did not know. As great as was his presentation of remnant of the Maya, he, like virtually all archaeologists, as I know later find out, judged the Maya by standards of material technology. Morley still viewed the Maya as being a stone age, no metallurgy, no wheel, and yet, in Morley's estimation, and much to his amazement, without these materials contrivances, they still managed to create science and architecture of a proportional harmonic beauty equal to the great ones of the old world civilizations. For Morley, uh, writings in 1947, the Maya remain as impeccable exception. Few in others cultures with compatibility of primate features have focused to such a great degree upon intellectual attainment. Um, my dissatisfaction with Morley limitations compounded my own lack of experience and knowledge, which were needed to formulate the actual reason of my discomfort. As much as I trusted myself into the mathematicals and the astronomical and calendrical lore, such as it has been deciphered by the likes of Morelli and his colleagues, there was a veil beyond which my experience could not penetrate. Here I will retreat into revere or fantasy. One of the fantasy always will reoccur, that I journeyed to the jungle, hot lands of Mesoamerica where, though some of the catharic and transfigurative experience I will emerge, not all as I had been, but a bear of knowledge, a seer. This reverie, this hunting led me on my pursuit of the Maya. Throughout my college years, and especially in graduate school, the Maya remained an avocation. Though I studied art at the graduate level, the University of Chicago did not offer me any course in pre-Columbian art. Nonetheless, I availed myself to every resource in the university library, as well as the Art Institute of Chicago and the Field Museum. Applying the skills and discipline that I was learning in formal study of art history, I forged ahead my own study of the Mayan and pre-Columbian art in general. For the most part, this was satisfactory course. I was free to plunge into what really my favorite area of art history. And yet, as I read, studied, contemplated, and observed it, it became clear that searching was amiss. No one seemed to be getting the point. The archaeologists all treated Mayan civilization as if they were happy enigmatic aberration of the Stone Age. I came to suspect that the reason archaeologists study the Maya with precise because their smug mindset will never get it, and will think instead it was the Maya's fault that they weren't getting it. Wow. Aside from Morley, perhaps the most prominent archaeologist, writer, interpret of the Maya is a man named J.E.S. Thompson, admirable compiler of two monumental tomes, Mayan hieroglyph writings, and a catalog of the Mayan hieroglyphs, as well as more general texts like the rise and fall of the Mayan civilization. Thompson, more than anyone else, wrote of the Mayas wrote of the Maya as if they were idiot servants, skilled for God's know what reason, in abstruse astronomical mathematics to the point of devilish obsession, with no rational end. Even more than Morley, Thompson judged the Maya by the yardstick of Renaissance European civilization and values. Thompson's discussion of Maya art betrayed a condescending impatience, because archaeologists like Thompson don't fathom what it was the Maya were about. They generally impute the worst, projecting themselves with their modern habits uncomfortable into an alien, fatalistic regime. Thus, we confronted with what is certainly the most puzzling feature of the Mayan civilization is the decline in the 9th century. Thompson preferred to see into a slave revolt against despotic rulers. Yet, as Morley explains, it is difficult to believe that so solidly established a civilization could be overturned abruptly. If the dissatisfaction has been accumulating slowly through the centuries, they left no mark by which they can be identified. As the unsatisfaction were going through my head in the summer of 1964, I prepared for my next journey to Mexico. Romantic fascination with a place was at all-time high. Traveling by car, as I had done with my father over the 10 years, gave me plenty of time to contemplate the endless vistas of mountains and sky. To me, the land was mystical, possessing immense secrets. My openness to the mystery of a place and a geography was contemplated by the discovery of the points of view than of the material obsession archaeologist. Chief among them was one of the writers, Laurette Sejourne. I had already been familiar to her book, Burning Water, though and Religion in Ancient Mexico, which was like fresh air in contrast of the writings of the archaeologist, for Sojourn took serious to the mental and spiritual attitudes of the ancients. In Mexico City, I came across her study, The Universe of Quetzalcoatl. In the introduction to that book, the eminent historian and religion, Mircea Eliade, wrote of Sojourn's approach that for her, culture formed an organic unity, and thus it ought to be studied from the center and not from peripheral aspects. The perspective resonated deeply in my own feeling. I began to perceive that the problem in coming to the terms with the Maya and ancient Mexico civilization in general was actually the problem of our own civilization. Whatever it was that I had begun to feel in 1953 ran even more deeply now. Besides Teotihuacan, I now visited an ancient highland of Mexican site of Tula in Xochicalco. Armed with some knowledge, my intuition penetrated further into the most mute stones, mute stones. It was particularly at Xochicalco that the feeling of premonition or recollection gathered with disturbing intensity. Wow. Xochicalco is high remote in the mountains wilderness in the state of Guerrero. It simply outlays a harmonic architecture structures is dominated by a singular presence, Quetzalcoatl, the plum circle. Dating back to the 9th and 10th century AD, Xochicalco, the place of the House of the Flowers, represented a fusion of the highland Mexican style of Teotihuacan and that the classic Maya, indeed it was here in Xochicalco that the elite of Maya and Teotihuacan took refuge and convent followed the abrupt decline in the classic stage of the Mayan and Mexican civilization. And it was here the history of Quetzalcoatl, one Reed, was born in AD 1947. For himself, the mystery intensified and simultaneously a new age of unraveling had begun. The mystery was that Quetzalcoatl, the plum of feathered serpents, called by the Maya Culculcan, place where the serpents dwell. From reading Sojourn's synthesizing work on Quetzalcoatl, it was clear that Quetzalcoatl was just not a god, but a multiple god, not just a man, but many men, not just a religion, but mythic complex, a mental structure. And it was also clear that this constellation of futures, this multiple presence of information, almost every aspect of ancient Mexico and even Maya civilization. Not just the art, but the astronomy and the calendar were affected by Quetzalcoatl, who was strongly associated with the morning and the evening star called the planet Venus. Astronomical celestial associations, as such as his role of the religious figures of the stature of Moses or a Christ, brought Quetzalcoatl in prophetic prominence. So it was that the 9th century one Reed, Quetzalcoatl, presumed founder of the Mexico City of Tula and reviver of the Chichen Itza in Yucatan, having prophesied his return on the day one Reed in the year one Reed, was vindicated by arrivals of the Cortes on that very day, Good Friday on the Christian calendar, AD 1519. This fact alone seemed to have sufficient to unstring the already nervous Moctezuma II, emperor of the ill-fated Aztec Empire. Though few in our cultures might have heard of Quetzalcoatl, aside from those familiar with D.H. Lawrence's novel, The Plum Serpent, the prophetic facts of the matter gave me the conviction that Quetzalcoatl was not just a local affair. Rather, I saw Quetzalcoatl, an invisible and immanent force, underlying and transcending the mythic fabric of mechanization. Fortified with intuition, I returned from Mexico once again with a growing sense of my personal mission. By this time, I had completed my formal graduate studies of art and history in 1965. I had arrived at more intuitively considered position concerning the Maya and the ancient civilization of Anahuac, placed between the waters, the indigenous Nahuatl, name given to Mexico and Central America. The archaeologists could unearth the stones and catalog the data, given their finding names like God D or ritual object, but this said nothing about the livingness of the ancient civilizations. To me, it was obvious that the one had to develop an intuitive frame of mind as well to enter into the mental state which produced the artifacts. And besides, the artifacts were but the residue. The reality was in the mental emotional condition that went into the artifacts. Furthermore, it was time to transcend mystical state of mind that were aroused through whatever practice and acts of contemplation they were performed by the followers of Quetzalcoatl, Kukulkan. Then, what was keeping me or anyone else who applied themselves for entering those states of mind? Had not R.M. Buck, William James, and Aldous Huxley presented convincing enough arguments for the unity of mystical states of mind of whatever time and place, and wasn't in the purpose of mystical practices to place one in which condition of unity? According to Saussure, the religion of Quetzalcoatl, as the prevailing background stone of all ancient Mexican civilization, was ultimately a process leading to mystical unification. From a contemplation of the most harmonious artifacts of the ancient civilizations, there was no doubt in my mind that something like this was the case. In late, my hair's itching my skin again. Late 1966, I embarked an experimental prompt in a large part of such reflection, as well as my conviction that if I had been art that provide the most creative outlet from mystical experiences, then perhaps through art one could enter into the frame of mind that had produced the ancient civilization of the Mayan and Teotihuacan. Most certainly among my inspirations in this cycle of painting which I plunged myself were the murals of Teotihuacan, a ceramic and hieroglyph works of the Maya. The brilliance of colors, the capacity to inform thought, condense symbol structures, the overall designs that collected my features and formed into a single geometric yet undulating, vibrating state were aspects of ancient Maya art that inspire me. The result of this experiment was a series of large freestanding panels called by Humphrey Osmond, coiner of the word psychedelic, who was in 1968 the doors of perception. For myself, it was process of doing these paintings that was the most meaningful, for indeed they had provided me with opportunity to enter those places where I conversed with Tlacuilio, an empire painter and former of archetypes. My heart opened and recollections flooded my being. I cannot say whether they were past life recollections or not, but they were collective recollections from mind stream of my ancients. I began to know within. The God painter is wise. God is in heart. He converses with his own heart. He puts divinity into things. And that's a Nahuatl saying. Well, it was visions of the ancient Mexico and Maya painters that guided me during the painting of these doors of perception. It was the study of the I Ching that gave me a perception of the primary structure of change, which was also the primary structure of each of the 8 panels. The panels were divided into 3 parts, while the top, the zone of the change of transformation. A transformative structure also possessed a complete bilateral symmetry. Many years I discovered that the basic structure of these doors of perception was the same as the binary triplet configuration, the key image enabled in the Mayan sacred calendar matrix, the code key of my book Earth Ascending. Having embarked on a visionary path, by the time I visited Mexico again in 1968, I was also better prepared for what I wanted to see. Aside from the visit of the new Museum of Anthropology, the high point of the trip was the journey to Monte Alban, a Zapotec or Cloud People's citadel high in the mountains of Oaxaca, dating back at least 600 BC. Monte Alban represents a fusion of Mayan and Mexican influence in its own unique cultural style. Here at the sculptures of danzantes, the dancers' ecstatic animal-headed shaman priests whose body interiors are masked with hieroglyphs. Yet another sign, no, not sign, yet alongside them we find a notational marking of the Maya mathematical system, a sign of the sacred calendar. Here also in the great plaza of the mountaintop ceremonial center is the particularly angled observatory. Climbing about, pondering on the idea and identity of the dancers and the meaning of the calendar signs, I received intimidation of presence, star beings, guidance. Who were they? Not far from Monte Alban, in the little town of Okay, before I actually read that part, I just want to show you the what he was describing. The pattern. And there's a center. And the center of it is called Hunabku. But anyways, we'll come into that. Not far from Monte Alban, in the little town of Teotihuacan del Valle, ancient ceremonies are still celebrated. Tapestry of exquisite geometrical and symbolic raiment are still woven. Bartending in a small shop, the proprietor, who spoke English, his brother the weaver spoke only Zapotec, astonished me. As he strummed card, he pulled out weaving of the same design, one in red and black, the other in blue and orange. The designs of these weavings were remarkable, and it consisted about a single line. Yet the lines spiraled and projected in such way that in dividing the rug into 2 equal parts, it was also created the image of 8-fold mandala. As I gazed in awe, the proprietor winked at me and said, "See, the ancient Mexican also knew about yin and yang because of the scintillation of contemplation of colors of the blue and orange." I purchased that one, and drinking a ceremonial beer with the proprietor, I left, and I had passed into still another intersection of time zones. That's the Hunabku. That's actually, nobody has really asked me the symbol that I have in all my videos, you know? That's the Hunabku. And on top of it is the 13 moon cycle. So anyways, I'm not gonna read the rest. I'm gonna stop right there. I even put a little mark right there. That I was gonna stop there. Um, I think that is very interesting. All the things that, how he started his research, and it's amazing how some archaeologists they can be so close-minded. And I thought it was kind of funny how he said in the beginning how uh, the archaeologists prefer to blame the Mayan for them not being able to know what know more about the Mayan. I don't know. So, anyways, I hope you guys like and enjoy. I need some water. I hope you guys enjoyed this um, part one of the first chapter. I don't know, maybe tomorrow or yeah, tomorrow probably I'll do the part two of the first chapter and see. 'Cause I don't know. I have to figure that out. But I will be posting this, and I can't wait to read you guys the rest. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I will talk to you guys later. In Lakesh. Bye, you guys.